Cowboys won though.
Yeah. Yeah, between the refs and the Chargers, they lost it.
I was winning the fucking our DraftKings thing the whole fucking night too until Derrick Henry decided to score another touchdown right there in the end and win the game. And
Yeah, I was leading that pretty much the whole morning, which I kind of figured. But
yeah, most of my guys were going second game.
yeah. At least she got some money out of it.
Yeah. I won some play money on Barstool because of I won like $20 or something like that. Put a bet in on stuff. A parlay bet for the game tonight.
DraftKings gave free. You had to do. What was it? 3 to 5 leg parlay. He gave you $2 free. I said, oh, fuck it.
I said Patrick Mahomes to have over 2 touchdown passes. Chiefs to win, cover 3.5. I took the over on 53.5 points. Travis Kelce to score a touchdown, and kind of my one that I think is a long shot. Lamar Jackson to have over 67 rushing yards.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Fucking driving me nuts, man. God damn it.
You got a problem with that? Yeah, this game should be a good one tonight.
Yeah, it should be. Those were good football games. The later games today, the Cardinals and Vikings game was a good game. Cowboys game was a good game. Can't believe the Vikings missed that fucking field goal.
Yeah, I know.
And Cowboys hit, I think, 57-yarder to win it.
Legatron bringing it home.
Some fucking shockers today, though. Panthers just giving it to the Saints. What the fuck?
Jameis came back.
Raiders bending over the Steelers. Are the Raiders for real?
Yeah, there's a ton of injuries today, too.
Yes, there were. Quarterback injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baker down. I saw.
He ended up coming back.
Did he come back? It was opposite shoulder.
Yeah, he ended up coming back.
Tua was carted off. Roethlisberger was hurt.
Dude for the Texans. Tyrod.
Cam Newton gonna have a job here soon.
Oh yeah.
I kind of thought Cam Newton. I think they really like that. Well, we talked a little bit about him last night. Heineke or whatever from Washington. I thought with Ron Rivera,
Yeah.
Cam Newton maybe was a possibility there.
Not the way that kid played.
No. No. But one of these other teams will snatch him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would like to see Cam Newton. One, I think he would just look like a fucking badass in the uniform. But I kind of want to see Cam Newton in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin.
That would be different, that's for sure.
I don't know what the severity is of the injury to Roethlisberger.
Yeah, considering the backups there are horrible.
Yeah. The Titans and Seahawks game was a really good game.
Mm-hmm. I think if Tyrod's healthy, that they just drub the Browns. Yeah. And that was just, you had to see that one coming. TJ
Yeah.
Watt went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a chunker there, or clunker, I guess you could say. Two hearts. Queen of hearts. Nope, that's a big motherfucker. God. I gotta check that parlay. Yes, I know my fantasy team's losing, thank you.
How long have you had that signed for?
This one?
Yeah.
Josh got it for me for Christmas.
Who do you have to make it?
Oh, he bought it online. Ooh. How many touchdowns did Dalvin Cook have?
One, I think.
Fuck. This was a plus 2,100. Any three of Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Chris Carson, and Zeke scored 2+ touchdowns. Zeke had one. Any three of Chase Edmonds, A.J. Brown, Rod Gronkowski, and Mike Evans scored 2+ touchdowns, plus 10,000.
Cook didn't have any touchdowns.
No, he didn't. I thought he had one.
I thought he did too, but I guess not.
He went over 100 though today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got took the Chiefs minus 2.5 and over 55.5 points. I took the Pats and the points, that one today. I took Bama in the points, that lost yesterday. I took Florida in the points. I don't know why I took Bama and then that was dumb. Took a super boost. Oklahoma, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame all to win. And another one. Super boost, Michigan to win and over 55 points. Alright, you ready to start? I messed up the timer.
Fucking Tigers played Tampa pretty damn good.
Yes, they did.
Jesus.
Yes,
Man,
they did.
that team just keeps on fucking surprising me.
You ready to go?
Yep.
What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again. It is podcast day, and man, oh man, we got a great show planned for you today. That is, if you're an NFL fan or a college football fan. But 2Ks, we've had a hell of a run of games here today and Thursday and yesterday. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, 2K crew, Thanks for joining. Thank you for you guys that are watching live. Thanks for the thumbs up, whoever gave us that. And on that note, if you are watching live, go ahead and drop us a comment. Let's get a conversation started. And while you're here, go ahead and like, subscribe, hit that bell, so you get notified when we go live. And if you're listening on the podcast, yes, go ahead and give us a follow, give us a like. That helps the show out a lot. And if you are feeling saucy, go down to buyturboabeer.com. And you can help support the show financially, and you also get I do a weekly blog on there, so you can kind of see what I'm thinking, what I got going, and all that good stuff. Well, 2Ks, now that that's out of the way, good Lord. First of all, my fantasy team blows ass.
Same, brother, same.
And I really shouldn't say that. I'm projected for like 215 points, which usually gets you on top. But yeah, your dad has taken me behind the literal woodshed here, and is just demolishing me over and over and over again. even with last week, it's always hard week one because you really never know what these teams are about, and we're going to get into some of that here later on the show. But yeah, it was Derrick Henry. My first pick looked like shit last week. Man, did he come back with a vengeance this week? The first half, dude, I was sitting here going, all right, this is going to be another fucking egg they're going to lay. This is going to be awesome. But no, they actually gave him the ball. And lo and behold, when you give Derrick Henry the ball, good shit happens. Because they did get the dub over Russ and the Seahawks. It looks like Henry had 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. Got me 82 points. I take that back. Now that everything's updated, I'm projected 226. Your dad's 239. So I need a big game from Aaron Rodgers tomorrow.
Which is, you got to think that's very possible. I mean,
I'm hoping so.
Detroit defense, who we've seen what they're capable of last week, and then Aaron Rodgers with maybe one of the worst games I've seen him play in a long time. You got to think he's going to come out with a little bit of vengeance.
I would hope so, just because
kind of go off on that team. The only thing I would be worried about is them putting that game away early.
Yeah, and just running the ball.
Yes.
Because your dad also has their running back, which is awesome. So, but no, 2K's to kind of the headline of the week, or this, especially today, injuries.
Yeah.
The injury bug is just getting nasty, folks, getting nasty. I mean, we saw Andy Dalton go down. We saw Tyrod Taylor go down. Carson Wentz went down. And I'm literally going down the scoreboard here, and I'm not jumping around. These are in consecutive games here. Baker Mayfield went down for a little bit. Obviously, I said Tua, and let's see. Roethlisberger went out. Kind of another. And these are all quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And TJ Watt just got his big fat sack of cash. Mm-hmm. He went out too, and I think that's. Not going to say that's the reason that the Raiders came into Heinz Field and took that game from the Steelers, but I have a feeling it's going to. I mean, it's got to play a big part in it. But yeah, I was kind of shocked. And then we got the big game kicking off here in about 10 minutes. I think the game all of us kind of had circled, which is the Chiefs at the Ravens. Speaking injuries, let's see how the Ravens respond with all of their injuries. And, they're signing running backs, proverbial off the street running backs. Granted, some of the names are, household names like Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman and, guys like that. But I have a feeling they're kind of walking around on the street for a reason. So it is kind of sad to see that that is the case over there. But yeah, for those of you watching, go ahead and drop us a comment. How is your team doing? Because I mean, 2K's has got a Cowboys boner right now, and
I mean,
as well he should.
I'm happy with them. I am happy with them. I kind of had a feeling going into today that this was just going to be a tough one for them. Going, to LA, obviously the new stadium last year. Just a different atmosphere. They leave the house, they go on the road, and this is the thing too with being the Cowboys. You're going to get every team's best. You're going to get everybody's best shot, whether they're one of the best teams in the league, whether they're one of the worst teams in the league. Everybody wants to beat up on the Cowboys, so you're always going to get everybody's best. And I was worried about this game a little bit. Obviously, Justin Herbert on the other side.
Fantastic.
But no, and I talked about it a lot last week. Obviously, the Cowboys are going to put numbers up. I mean, they got one of the best offenses in the league. You know, you take away, what Mahomes does and probably Brady with Tampa, and I would say that Cowboys are the next best offense in the league right now.
And you to further that point, you look at, I'm pretty sure Tony Pollard had more rushing yards than Zeke.
Yeah.
Probably more rushing attempts too.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them got in the end zone, which is a very big plus because what we saw against Tampa, they fell behind last week, which that means you're going to throw the ball a shit ton. So when you have a dynamic playmaker, and I still consider Zeke a very dynamic playmaker.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of a big shot in the toe when you're forced to get away from that. And I think one of the big statements for the Cowboys was Zach Martin being back.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he just owned that line, and that's something to say when you got those dudes from the Rams. That's the top 5. They were the top defense last year, and Aaron Donald's name was called a fair amount, but I would still think that was a very successful day for that crew. And then on top of that, to give up only 17 points to the Chargers, which some of that was kind of self-inflicted, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, that's a very, very good offense, and to hold them to 17 points, I think, is a very big statement for Dallas. So all you Dallas fans should be.
Yeah, and to me, defensively, and what they haven't been able to do for probably 3-4 years in a row now is be able to force turnovers. And they were able to turn Brady over a couple times. They were able to recover a punt last week, and then today they come back with 2 more interceptions.
Which Herbert doesn't throw a lot of picks.
Yeah,
So
and
that was huge.
You had a terrible injury, in practice this week with DeMarcus Lawrence. So not having him out there, it was kind of questioning, what's going to happen with the defense now, because he's probably maybe the most important piece on that defense.
Absolutely.
The pass rush, and not only just the pass rush, but he defends the run very well. And so they're not having him today. I was kind of worried about that, and their defense was great.
Yeah.
And offensively, they weren't what they did last week, but that secondary of the Chargers is one of the best. So they weren't going to be able to just throw it all over the place. And Zeke looked a lot better running the ball today. Like you said, Tony Pollard, he looked great today. Dak wasn't as good as what he was last week, but it comes with it. I mean, last week they kind of beat up on Tampa's defense is very, very strong up front, but their secondary was beat up last week, and they took advantage on that. This week they play against a defense that has a very good secondary and healthy, and they beat up on the ground a little bit with it. So yeah, I mean, offense that can win games 2 different ways, with balance. And then last year it was just a fucking dumpster fire as far as with the defense. And you gotta like what you're seeing these first 2 weeks, and just hope that they can stay healthy for the most part, and just keep on playing good ball.
And they're in a very winnable division too. So, but no, this score last year would have never held up. This score last year would have never held up. And but yeah, this was very encouraging if you are a Cowboys fan. But 2Ks, let's rewind to Thursday. What a hell of a game. Hell of a game. We saw quite possibly the best I've seen Danny Dimes play. And Heineke, is it Tyler Heineke? Man, that kid's a baller. That kid is a baller. We got a comment here from the businessman PK. It says, "Hey guys, interesting week of football for sure." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It says, "Looks like I'll have the 3rd most points in my fantasy league and still grab the L, brother." I feel your pain. I feel your pain. But brother, thank you for the comment. And yeah, guys, go ahead and drop a comment. We'll feature on the show just like that. But no, I really didn't know what to think about going into this game, because honestly, the Giants are the Giants. And I kind of expected Washington to, even without Fitzmagic, but what this Heineke kid showed, not only this game, but that start against Tampa, like this kid might be for real. Might be for real. And I you and I talked, because I actually picked Washington to win this division and put a very big parlay down that for all the division winners. I'm feeling a lot more confident in that bet after watching this game. Now, what I think needs to move forward is that what's driving that team is their defense, and their defense has been quite porous the first 2 weeks. So we're gonna have to see how that goes, because Danny Dimes was 22 of 32, 249 with 1 touchdown, and still haven't got Saquon going yet. But I have a feeling if once the season keeps rolling, he's bound to get back.
Yeah,
he's bound to get back.
Look, this division has been, kind of the joke of the NFL for the last 2-3 years, and I don't think that you can say that this year. I think this division is very, very improved, and even with the injury, with Fitzmagic being out there in Washington, like you said with Heineke, I think they're going to be fine.
I think they're going to be better with Heineke than they were. They were going to be.
There's a good chance that you're right. And this Giants team, they looked really good Thursday night. They're going to get better. Saquon's he's coming off a significant knee injury. They're obviously going to kind of take it easy with him here in the beginning of the season. Look to see him. I think that they're gonna start picking it up as long as he stays healthy and keeps on coming back.
It seems like they kind of have him on a pitch count too, almost.
And that doesn't shock me.
No,
I mean, he's young.
He's your most dynamic player, hands down.
One of the most dynamic players in the NFL. Period. I mean, and he's young, and just take it easy with him. And I think as we get a little bit further into the season, in a couple weeks here, as long as he keeps on coming back and is no setbacks or anything like that, I think we're going to start seeing, the numbers of carries, number of touches go up. That was the one thing that was kind of watching that game. That was kind of a disappointment to me is, because with the Giants' offensive line, they're not good.
No,
they're not good at all. And right at the beginning of that game, I think it was their best offensive lineman was hurt, carted off the field with the nasty injury. So now you have already depleted offensive line that just got worse. But I want to start seeing Saquon get involved in the passing game a little bit. To me, there was some times where it looked like he was open on the check down, and I don't know what the game plan was. I'm also not a football coach by any means or defensive coordinator by any means, but to me, you have to start finding ways to get your best player the ball.
Look at what Carolina does
with
McCaffrey.
Yep.
I mean,
and he's a very similar player to McCaffrey.
Yeah. Businessman says slow start for Saquon, but I agree they'll get him going. They have to. They have to. And I think when it gets to that, where we have fans have been kind of jaded by this kind of injury, because look at AP, Adrian Peterson, his knee exploded, came back earlier than expected, and almost broke the rushing record. So I think pump the brakes. He's going to be fine. It's just a matter of time. But no, I'm very optimistic on this Washington team. I really am. And
I'm still,
what's the kid's name?
I'm still very optimistic on the entire division. I mean, we didn't talk about the Eagles. The Eagles come out, they frickin' just manhandle Atlanta last week. Yeah, I think it's safe to say Atlanta's maybe the worst team in the NFL.
Atlanta kind of put up a little bit more of a fight against Tampa today, and I was kind of impressed with that.
And the Eagles went they went head to head with San Francisco today, and we know how tough of a San Francisco team that is. And they went head to head with them, and Jalen Hurts was not near as good as what he was last week, but obviously a lot better defense that he was playing against too. But don't count the Eagles out either.
No, it's going to be interesting. I think this is one of those divisions like the NFC North that they're just going to beat the hell out of each other, and it's whoever's going to be emerging out of the rubble, so to speak, is going to make the playoffs. Another big bonus for me is Terry McLaurin. That kid, him and Heineke have a fucking legit chemistry going. So that's very cool. That's very cool. But let's talk. Well, 2Ks, we talked about your team. Let's talk about my team. Bears and the Bengals. Home opener for the Bears at Soldier Field. And they won. They won the game. They won the game. Burrow did not look like the Burrow we've seen. I don't know if that's a testament to the Bears' defense, or it was just an off game by him. So, and then you move forward. Dalton goes down, and I think every Bears fan, not that we wish anyone injury, sure. But it's like, all right, here is the Justin Fields era. This is where we're going. This is what we've been waiting for. Very lackluster.
Yeah.
Very, but I get it that he didn't start the game. It has to be like a starting pitcher in a relief pitcher. It really has to. For you to kind of, as a backup, have to get forced to go in. Not like they're on a rotation, right? Because they did that week 1 and Fields looked pretty good. To be forced into action like that, good old Lamar, pick 6. That's not a good way to get it started there, Ravens. Oh, and Tyrann Mathieu coming back from the C word, But no, all you Bears fans, calm down. Calm down.
Well, I think what for a lot of Bears fans is we were looking at what happened in the preseason where Justin Fields just had the one game where he goes off, has a touchdown pass, and
really didn't go off, but he looked very good.
Rushes the ball for 50-plus yards and a couple of drives, and it was like, this is a no-brainer. He needs to be starting, which I agree. I agree that he should be the starter, and Andy Dalton should be the backup quarterback, and don't ever look back throughout the entire season. Just ride it out. But if you think that this guy's going to just show up on this Bears offense and be like, Patty Mahomes in his rookie season, or step in there and start playing like Kyler Murray right off the bat, or it's not going to happen.
No.
For one, he's going into an offense that's not very good. No, I like David Montgomery, and that's about it on that offense.
Robinson has some moments.
Yes,
but I mean they're without Tyreek Cohen. And I do like that they're trying to get Cole Kmet in the offense involved more, because I think, especially as high as they took him last year, they're kind of wasting him a little bit. And I do think that he is a very viable option for the offense, but. Just to kind of give you some stats, Andy Dalton was 9 for 11 for 56 yards and a touchdown. Justin Fields 6 for 13 for 60 yards and an interception. So with those numbers, I mean, Montgomery had 20 carries for 61 yards. Fields had 10 carries for 31 yards. So obviously, judging from these, the Bears offense was pretty much saying, we're going to run Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. But on the other hand, you gotta pass the ball to kind of open up the run. But getting back to what you said, we're not football coaches.
Yeah. There was just no flow watching the game. There was no flow for either one of these quarterbacks. For either one of these offenses. I want to see Justin Fields start a game. I want to see him go through a week of knowing that he's going to be the starter. Obviously working with the ones all week long. Go into the game, not standing on the sidelines, waiting for his opportunity. Go into the game knowing that he's going to be the starter, and I want to watch that and have him get that opportunity. And I bet the results would be a lot different.
Businessman says, tough to judge a kid on 13 attempts. Will be interesting to see how it goes in the future. I totally agree, brother. I totally agree. And getting back to Burrow was 19 for 30 for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, and three very costly picks. One of them was taken to the house, which is ultimately was the game winner. So still not, everything around Chicago. I know Bears fans, because I've been the same way. We're all kind of a little jaded once it comes to the quarterback position, because we've been bitten a lot, but
never had a good one.
No, and we waste draft picks jumping up to get Mitch Trubisky, which I was like, when they drafted, who the fuck is this kid? So just calm down.
And left Mahomes on the board.
Yeah, left a ton of quarterbacks on the board. Yeah, and like I said, they traded up to get him. So, but yeah. Enough of that. Let's move on to the next game. This next game, I thought, the Texans and Browns. 2Ks, are we sleeping on this Texans team? I know we kind of talked about it a little bit last week, but man, with all the drama that's going around down there, I thought this team was just going to be the worst team in the fucking league, and everything's just going to be a horrible slippery slope. Everyone's going to lose their job. It's just going to be a quick mop up, redo, get back into it. But man, before Tyrod went down this game, the Texans were in control of this game. And ironically enough, watching the early games today, there wasn't a whole lot of scoring, it seemed like. It seemed like this game was the shootout game, which it was, 31-21 Cleveland. And, excuse me, that came out of nowhere. But, Tyrod went 10 for 11 for 125 and a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown, too. And some dude named, I think it's Davis Mills, No idea who the fuck that guy is, but he went 8 for 18 for 102, a touchdown and a pick. So Ingram had 14 carries for 41 yards. Totally forgot Brandon Cooks was still there. He had 9 catches and a touchdown and 78 yards. So no, I'm not burying the Texans yet. Now I think it's going to have to depend on Tyrod's, how bad that injury is for sure. And I was watching the Pat McAfee show the other day, and he was on there. And you talk about a really good dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, he went to he got I think he got drafted by the Bills, correct? Mm-hmm. Kind of and the Bills were garbage before he got there. He kind of gets him on the right path, and they're like, see ya. So then he leaves, and then he ends up with obviously has the debacle in San Diego last year, and if it wasn't for a very misplaced needle, we might not be seeing Justin Herbert right now. Yep. So, but he even said on the podcast, he goes, things happen for a reason, and I ended up here, and I'm having the time of my life. Yeah. So, as Pat would say, T's and P's for that guy, and I mean, he had that team rolling. Yeah, both last week and this week. He was great last week.
He was great at the beginning of the game today, and then he goes down with the hamstring injury, and we know how those injuries go. Yeah. How long is that going to linger on now? And they bounce back. They have the Thursday night game this coming week, so you have to expect he's not going to be ready to go by then. No. So it's going to be Davis Mills out there. The
Davis Mills show.
And without Tyrod, I can't. They play against Carolina on Thursday night. Carolina, what they did today with the Saints. Mm-hmm. I really don't give them a chance to win that game.
Businessman says Brandon Cooks has had a solid start. You're very right, my friend. Very right. And like I said, I totally forgot he was even on that team.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, like you're looking at the fantasy draft this year. I don't even think that there was anybody in the top 100, probably even further back than that was a Texan. Obviously with Deshaun Watson not being there, nobody was looking. I mean, Brandon Cooks was probably the first player you were looking that was drafted, and he was
either him or Mark Ingram.
Yeah,
but even that, I'm like, Mark Ingram, he's washed up. I'm staying away from him. But no, I do find it funny in our weekly DraftKings, they still have Deshaun Watson there available for purchase. And he's like,
and he's still one of the higher ones.
Yeah, he's like the 4th highest quarterback. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here, DraftKings? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But I guess you're putting it on there because if you're dumb enough to buy him, you're dumb enough to lose your money. You're dumb enough to lose your money. But I watched the Rams at the Colts. This one was a little bit of a barn burner here. Rams ended up winning 27-24. Like I said, the last 2 drives, I believe it was. Carson Wentz did not play. Jacob Eason, we saw his debut, his NFL debut, and again, Matthew Stafford looked solid, looked very solid, and not as spectacular as Week 1, and Businessman said here, Cup running wild on the Colts today. Absolutely, and you can tell, and if you watch that game, that was a lot of what the commentators were saying, is that Stafford and Cooper Kupp have immediately had this bond, and it's coming to fruition right on the field. I mean, this dude is, if he keeps going like this dude's going to lead the league in receiving. Yeah. And I also found it kind of weird that him and Robert Woods have never made the Pro. Either one of them have ever made a Pro Bowl. Again, kind of forgot Robert Woods was still in the league, but no, I don't know if it's just the case that they're all the way on the left coast, or they've just been kind of mediocre. We've seen Cooper Kupp have a game here and there, but to have this start to the season, wow. And let me get at the box score here. Stafford went 19 for 30 for 278, 2 touchdowns in his first pick of the year. And Kupp had 9 catches for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, very well played game all around. Mm-hmm. And again, I still think we're not giving that Colts defense as much praise as we probably should. Mm-hmm. But it was a great game, and I think Henderson was the leading rusher. Yeah, he had 13 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown. But no, it was a great game. I mean, and even before Carson Wentz left with that injury, he's not the first 2 games. I'm ready to say he's not the same Carson Wentz that he was in Philadelphia.
No, I thought he looked great today.
No,
I thought he
fantastic.
looked great.
He went toe to toe, basically toe to toe with Stafford. I mean, and there was a time in this game where both dudes only had 1 incompletion each, and I guess it was just fantastic. I mean, every ball seemed like it was on the money, in the bucket, and both these dudes were just fucking dealing. So, like I said, that was a great game to watch. But yeah, so let's go Bills Dolphins. Like we said, Tua went out, and let's see here. We got to see Jacoby Brissett, which if you're a longtime fan of the show, remember when he was back in Indy and he was starting, he was steady Eddie.
Yep. I
mean, he wasn't anything spectacular by any means, but he steps in. Tua only completed 1 pass. When I saw the replay on my TV, I saw it on my phone. From that hit, I initially was like, oh shit, this is his hip again. And I was like, this kid's done. So I guess to see now that it's a rib injury, I think every Dolphins fan can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, because I think Dolphins Nation was like, oh fuck, oh fuck. But as far as backup quarterbacks go, I put my money on Brissett. I mean, he didn't light it up by any means. He went 24 for 40, which in my opinion, if you're having your backup quarterback throw 40 times, you probably have the wrong game plan, or B, like this situation, you're trailing by 35. So. And he went 24 for 40, 169, no touchdowns and an interception. But Waddle had 6 catches for 48 yards. That kid, I mean, very good draft pick. Yeah. Very good draft pick. But I think we saw, pretty much the coming out party that we kind of expected to see last week with Josh Allen and the Bills. So for those that were kind of, what's going on with the Bills?
I think it was pretty similar to what we're about to see tomorrow night with Green Bay. Green Bay come out. They didn't play. They played awful.
They can't.
I wouldn't say that Buffalo.
They honestly can't play much worse.
Buffalo didn't look that bad last week, but they didn't play. They didn't play. Up to their caliber. And today they come out and just basically just destroy Miami. At the same time, though, your franchise quarterback goes down at the very beginning of the game, and that can just. They can go one of 2 ways. Your team, everybody can just, you can kind of ride it out when something, drastic like that happens to your team, and that happens every once in a while. But more often than not, when your franchise guy goes down right at the very beginning of a game and is carted off the field like that.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much all the sale, the win is gone there. So
yeah, and it's getting back to Josh Allen. It's not like he had an amazing day. He went 17 for 33, 179, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And he had 5 carries for 35 yards. So he wasn't, filling the stat sheet up by any means, but, Mitchie got 2 carries for negative 2 yards. Wonder if those were actually sacks and mop up time, but no, I mean, it wasn't a stellar start for Josh Allen, but I think that this team needed a statement win like this, and they came out and just laid a beat down, which, like you said, losing it'd be like one of these teams tonight losing their star quarterback, which, like I said, we don't want that to happen, because I mean, football's better when the best players are on the field. So, but no, that's got to be tough. And then on top of that Bills team's just good.
Absolutely,
they're good. All right, 49ers and Eagles. This was a lot closer than what I thought. Again, I think the Eagles took advantage of a very mediocre. I think mediocre is a very kind way to say, or to describe what Atlanta has going on down there. But Jalen goes 12 for 23, 190 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Okay. He also led the team in rushing, 10 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown there. But on the flip side, for the Niners, Jimmy G goes 22 for 30 for 189 and a touchdown. And he also had a rushing touchdown. He had 11 carries for 20 yards. So there was their 2 touchdowns. And yeah, what an odd score, 11. Yeah. 11. There had to be a 2-point conversion or something in there. But no, if you were watching this game, just judging by the score, it was probably pretty boring.
Yeah.
But I kind of, to be honest with you, I can't remember what the spread was. But I figured the Niners would just win this by 3 touchdowns. Maybe the Eagles are for real, bro.
I mean, their defense is always good.
Yeah.
Every single year their defense is good. Their offense is, it's had question marks all off season leading into the season here.
Even last year.
Yeah, and week 1 they played against a really, really bad Atlanta defense.
Yes.
And it made him. I think it gave a lot of people hope that maybe this offense is for real. Maybe Jalen Hurts is the answer. I'm not so sure on that yet.
Yeah, Kurt.
He can do some things with his feet, absolutely, but can he drop back and make plays with his arm? And we all know that's what it takes to win games in the NFL. I'm not sure. And then getting to the.
And on top of that, who's he throwing the ball to? That's what drives me nuts about that Eagles team is, even going back to when Carson was there, and then Nick Foles, even when they won the Super Bowl, it's like, who the fuck is this guy throwing to?
Yeah.
Who is he throwing to?
And my thing with San Francisco, though, turning over to them is, how long are we going to go until Trey Lance takes over there?
I hope so soon.
I mean, Garoppolo, look, he's so far in the first 2 games, he hasn't done anything to lose games.
He's like an Alex Smith.
Yes.
It's like an Alex Smith.
Man, they have a lot of weapons there.
Yeah.
Let's put them to use instead of
Speaking of fucking weapons, dude, Jesus.
Put some of the weapons to use with a quarterback that can make the throws instead of just the nickel and dime throws that Garoppolo makes.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to turn the ball over, and maybe that's the game plan. They have a good offensive line. It's not like they have big name running backs, but it seems like they have about 5 or 6 of them that are all about the same.
Yeah.
That they can throw out there. And maybe that's their game plan, is not to turn the ball over and trust the defense and trust the running game. But when it comes, if you're going to beat these guys that we're watching right now, you're going to need a quarterback that can throw it.
Yeah, and
you're not going to stop these guys.
And in San Francisco, trust your athletic trainer. Trust in Dustin. But no, that was getting back to the whole injury bug. I mean, you look at last year, the 49ers were decimated with injuries, both on the offensive side and defensive side, including Jimmy G, including half a dozen running backs and Bosa. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So when Mozart goes out week 1, you're like, oh, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go again. So far, knock on wood, it's just been him so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think we can both agree that defense is good enough to get them not only to the playoffs, but deep in the playoffs. But I think you're right when it comes to Jimmy G being the quarterback. We really didn't see the Chiefs be the Chiefs under Alex Smith. We saw him become the Chiefs under Patty Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know there's a lot of people in preseason saying Trey Lance was Mahomes 2.0. Pump the brakes, calm down. But even going back to the Niners when they had Colin Kaepernick, look at the difference he made there, and with his legs and his arms, and just being that dynamic playmaker. And I just don't see Jimmy G being a dynamic playmaker. I really don't think those 2 names need to be in the same sentence together, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's just a matter of time, I think, and I'm not sure when the Niners have their bye week, but maybe that's the week we see Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Probably the upset of the weekend, 2Ks. Probably upset Raiders and Steelers. Raiders go into Heinz Field and beat the Steelers 26-17. I did not see this one coming. But if you are going to bet on the Raiders, do it early in the season, because, and on top of that, speaking of the injury bug, they won this game without Josh Jacobs, which, if you guys have been following the show for any amount of time, I think 2Ks and I both love Josh Jacobs. And to do that without your number 1 running back, I mean, their leading rusher today was Barber, 13 carries for 32 yards. So you kind of see how much of a game changer in just influence Jacobs has on this offense. However, Carr went 28 for 37, very economical.
That's the thing. I mean, first 2 weeks of the season, Derek Carr has carried this team.
Oh yeah,
something that early in his career he was doing that, and then had some injuries, and I think that set him back a little bit. But it's got to be a lot of positives coming from that Las Vegas team right now with the way that he's played in the first 2 weeks of the season. And he's got some weapons. He's got weapons around him.
Oh, yeah.
He's got. If it wasn't for a guy named Travis Kelce, Waller is a badass. And he's a badass tight end, and I think he separated himself as the second best tight end in the NFL right now. But Travis Kelce, I mean, it's hard to be better than that. But he's right there with him. And then, Henry Ruggs had a huge game today.
Probably his coming out party, to be honest with you, because last year we really didn't see a lot of him. And then, I was just going to say Ruggs went for 5 catches, 113 yards, and a touchdown. So obviously that YZ banana, wherever the fuck Gruden calls, is obviously working. But yeah, you went. Carr went 28 for 37, 382 and 2 touchdowns. Not a bad day at the office. Not a bad day at the office at all. Only got sacked twice for 9 yards. But yeah, and I think kind of the linchpin to this offense is Hunter Renfrow. That third down guy. Look at how much success Brady had with Edelman. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're very similar players. It did seem like Renfrow played at Clemson for 19 years, but no, and Kenyon Drake stepped in very nicely. I mean, he only had 7 carries today for 9 yards, but he had 5 catches for 46 yards. So, in the absence of your number one running back, I was very shocked at this team. Very shocked at this team. So, and especially, and I think getting back to that the whole injury theme here, I really do think that those injuries played a very big toll in this score, having Ben going out and TJ Watt. So, all right. Well, we got a comment here. Hey, Kurt, we were just making fun of your Jalen Hurts pick. So he says, "Go Browns, go Browns." But no, it was like I said. That to me, that was the upset of the weekend. And then the next one here, New Orleans rolls into Carolina. Man, Jameis showed up. Jameis from last year showed up. I think I think a lot of us were. I was impressed last week, but I wasn't quite sold. And I'm definitely not sold on this Carolina team other than Christian McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. But it looks like Sam Darnold is balling out. I mean, maybe it's just that Jets franchise, and we'll get to the Jets game here in a little bit, but maybe that Jets franchise is just horrible. Mm-hmm. Just fucking horrible.
They have been fucking horrible for, I mean, I don't even remember the last time they weren't fucking horrible.
Sanchez and Rex Ryan getting the back-to-back AFC championship games. And then that's when it just all hell broke loose, and the butt fumble and all that other stuff, and it's led us to here where they might be the biggest dumpster fire in professional sports, to be 100% honest with you. Gary Vaynerchuk needs to buy them super quick, because I'm not sure how many Jets fans there are out there still, and if you are still one, kudos to you. Kurt says Sermon's injury looked brutal. I did not see that one. But which is a bummer, because I had a very high hopes for him. Hopefully it's not as brutal as Kurt said, but no, this New Orleans offense, when your quarterback's 11 for 22 for 111 yards and 2 interceptions. I didn't realize you had to get LASIK every week to actually see, especially the colors of the uniforms. If you can't differentiate Saints colors from Carolina Panthers colors, maybe it's not the LASIK. Maybe you're just colorblind. But Winston led the team in rushing, which is, where the hell was Kamara?
Well, that was the thing right there. Is just the Panthers defense. They stopped the run. There was no running game at all, and they basically said we're gonna make Jameis beat us, and
they did. He didn't.
And I said it last week. Yeah, he had a great week 1, but they ran all over Green Bay, and it opened up just easy passes for him. Yeah. And if you are putting you're putting all your faith in Jameis Winston to go win you football games.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck, because that guy he's never going to be a winner in the NFL. Never will be. Not a chance.
Maybe my prediction or my hopes are going to come true, and we get to see Ian Book sometime this year.
I don't know if I'd go that fucking far.
All right, well, he has to do better than 11 for 22 for 111, which 11 for 22, 111. You'd think that'd be a very lucky thing, but when Winston's your leading rusher, 2 carries for 19 yards, Humphrey is your leading receiver with 1 catch for 27 yards, man, that's a tough day at the office.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of that, Darnold goes 26 for 38 for 305, 2 touchdowns and a pick. McCaffrey goes 24 carries, 72 yards and a touchdown. And he also brings in 5 catches for 65 yards. So all-purpose, he went over 100 very easily there. But no, I'm impressed with this Carolina team, and it's not just because they played a god-awful Saints team. Because yeah, Jameis sucked, but when your defense is supposed to be really pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they dominated Green Bay. They dominated Green Bay last week.
And if you judge by the numbers are telling us that Darnold is better than Aaron Rodgers by far.
Mm-hmm.
By far. And no, 2K crew, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying if you're looking at the numbers.
The thing you have to always remember with the NFL is even the worst teams, they're all professional players. Like they, Green Bay goes out and they just lay an absolute egg last week, and I expect them tomorrow night to just fucking run all over.
God, I hope so.
That Lions team. I don't think that game's even going to be close. We watched it last year with Green Bay. Last year they played the game early in the season. I think it was week 3 or 4 against Tampa, and just got destroyed. Aaron Rodgers looked awful. Goes on to win the MVP.
Did Matthew just pick off Jackson again at the goal line? Yeah, that is Matthew.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Kurt said DJ Moore looked great as well. No, you're 100% right, brother. 100% right. And maybe it's just, like I said, I'm not going to crown Darnold a top 5 quarterback right now by any means, but the comparisons with Ryan Tannehill are very, very legit, I think, in this case, especially the way he started the season down there.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a quarterback, 2Ks, that I don't think us or any of the media have given nearly the amount of credit he deserves. Teddy Two Gloves. Teddy Two Gloves takes his Denver team down to Jacksonville, and Teddy just drops dimes.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy drops dimes. This Bronco team is going to be a better team than I think any of us started the season thinking about.
Well, their defense is I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the NFL.
They got Von Miller back this year, which is anytime you can add Von Miller back to your team is going to make a substantial difference. But they got some ballers there, dude. They got some. I mean,
and lost probably their best offensive weapon in Judy last week.
Mm-hmm.
That's without him. I mean, with him on this team, man, they do it. They have 2 good running backs in Williams and Gordon, who as a 1-2 punch. I think that they're both legit. Cortland Sutton, nobody ever talks about, but he's a beast.
Dude went for 9 catches, 159 yards today.
Noah Fant, great tight end. Last year, was off to a really good start. Then the injury bug kind of hit him. But if he can stay healthy, he's an athlete. Just get him the ball as a tight end in space. He almost has, he has tight end size with receiver athleticism. So he's a scary one too. But yeah, the injury to Judy just kills them, because he is, in my opinion, their best offensive weapon. But no, the biggest thing here is being done with Locke, because he was not the answer, and bringing in Teddy Bridgewater, who to this far, 2 weeks into the season,
which Carolina basically said, "Get the fuck out. We don't need you. We don't need you. We're bringing in Sam Darnold." Everyone's like, "Why the fuck would you need?" Which obviously it looks like it worked out for both dudes pretty fucking good so far. But Teddy goes 26 for 34, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. He also had 4 carries for 1 yard. But you're right, Williams went 13 carries, 64 yards. Melvin Gordon went 13 carries, 31 yards. We already talked about Sutton. Fant had a receiving touchdown, as well as Patrick. I like this team. I like this team a lot. And for those of you that thought, and we kind of touched on this last week, that Urban Meyer is going to come in, bring in Trevor Lawrence, and that's just going to turn this whole fucking team around. I'm sorry to say that they've been a bad team for a long time. It's going to take more than a rookie quarterback and an unproven NFL coach to change my mind that this team is going anywhere. Lawrence goes 14 for 33, 118 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. He also had 2 carries for 21 yards. Robinson went 11 carries, 47 yards. Jones Jr. had six catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown. So, but yet again, getting back to your point, defense travels, and this Denver team has one of the best defenses in the league, and a perennial defensive player of the year candidate in Von Miller. So, I think at least for the next couple years, they've got their quarterback, and that's been ever since Peyton left. That's what they've been struggling to find is someone that's consistent, someone that doesn't turn the ball over. And they've wasted a lot of draft picks on high draft picks on dudes that just really haven't fucking panned out. And now they got Mr. Two Gloves down there who's just dropping 300 yards a game and 2 touchdowns. So I think going forward, this Denver team's going to be legit. This Denver team's going to be legit. Next one was a barn burner, dude. The Vikings and the Cardinals.
This was a great game.
I'll go out and say it. I'm not a Cousins fan.
Who is? I don't know if I've ever talked to anybody.
Michigan State fans.
Well, I don't talk to them. But I don't know if I've ever talked to anybody that is like a Kirk Cousins fan, except for just like you said, which I don't talk to those people. So, no, nobody.
You like that?
He's garbage. But I don't know. He has these games like he'll have one game like this. And then he's going to follow this game up with probably 3 shit games where he just completely shits the bed and is terrible and just plays to his normal caliber, which is shitty.
Yeah. And he went 22 for 32, very economical, 244 and 3 touchdowns. And those touchdowns went to KJ Osborne, 5 catches, 91 yards in a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, another one of those sophomore standouts that I think is just going to be a beast. 6 catches, 65 yards and a touchdown. And Adam Thielen, who just continues to rip shit
consistent.
up. 6 catches, only 39 yards and a touchdown, but that dude's just legit.
Yeah.
And Dalvin Cook rushed 22 times for 131 yards. Did not find the end zone today, but I did not expect them to. Now, the Arizona score, 34 points. I kind of expected that, but to me, that Cardinals defense is better, and they, in my opinion, should have just. I'm not going to say shut down this Minnesota offense, but it's like putting up 33 points to me is very high, very high. And Kurt says, other than Dalvin Cook being helped off the field 2 separate times, he looked like a beast. It opens up so much offense, and Cousins still barely capitalizes on it. Yeah, exactly. I said,
turning over to the. I don't want to spend any more time talking about him, but I just want to turn over to the other side because I am excited to talk about Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I'm sure your dad is too.
Yeah, I mean he's like must-watch football at this point. Yeah. I mean, I look forward to turning on the TV every weekend and watching Patrick Mahomes and what he can do with this offense. But I also look forward to watching this guy because what Kyler Murray can do with his feet and being able to extend plays and
he's a video game.
He's accurate. Half the time he's not even looking where he's throwing, but he lays it in there and he's so accurate. He did throw a couple picks today, a couple big picks, but he's just electric. I mean, throws for 400 yards today. Wasn't a huge rushing game. I think he only had like just over 30 yards, but did have a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
No, the guy is just he's just one of those guys that I almost get scared watching him because I don't want him to get hurt. Yeah. I want him to play a full season.
Yep, I'm the same way.
Last year he did get he played the whole year, but he got dinged up, and it was just a different Kyler Murray when he was playing injured. But no, the guy, he's so exciting to watch, and I've never been a Cardinals fan in my life, but I will watch every time I get the chance to watch him play. I want to watch.
Yeah, he goes 29 for 36, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 like you said, the 2 interceptions.
And like this is a guy that was the first overall draft pick as a quarterback coming out of Oklahoma, and was the number 3 overall pick in the Major League Baseball draft that year to the Oakland A's.
Fucking crazy.
And something tells me that he could probably play a center field in Major League Baseball just as good as he quarterbacks with the athleticism that he has.
Yeah, and I have a feeling he'd be kind of bored at it, looking back at, just judging his play on the field. None of that can be boring.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a blast playing with him. And same as the 2 guys we're watching tonight. You kind of have to put him up in that same category.
You think that you think you have him, like as a defense, you think you have him, and he rolls out of it and extends the play. And whether he extends it with his feet and runs down the sideline for 20 yards, or if he launches one up for a 30-40 yard pass and completes it, it's amazing to watch. As far as excitement, I don't think there's anybody in the NFL that is more exciting than him.
Well, and if you look at his receivers too, now mind you, he's doing all of this without Larry Fitzgerald, who's been a staple in that offense for a decade, or more than a decade. And when you can trade for DeAndre Hopkins and basically steal him from the Texans, and then I'm pretty sure they signed A.J. Green. Granted, A.J.'s had his fair share of injuries here leading up to this year. He looks like he's off to a great start. And
the rookie, Rondo Moore from Purdue, just an athlete.
He had 7 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. And D-Hop and A.J. Green both had touchdowns as well. And yeah, it's I think you kind of, as much as it pains me to say, because I laid money on Stafford being the MVP, I think leader out the gate's got to be Murray. It's got to be.
I think you know where I'm going with. Probably when we get to this next game, who we're talking, who I'm going to say has the nod right now after 2 weeks.
Let's roll over it so we can
MVP.
So we can rip it off like a Band-Aid. Yeah, this score shocked me. Not the fact that Tampa put up 48 points. It's the fact that Atlanta was in this game. Matt Ryan goes 35 of 46 for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and probably the thing that cost them the game, three interceptions. And wasn't a whole lot of rushing yards to be had, because they only had 55 total rushing yards. But Ridley had a touchdown, and there's another one here somewhere, and Cardell Patterson. And I think we're starting to see Kyle Pitts being worked in the offense a little more. He had 5 catches for 73 yards. He led the team in receiving yards. And other than that, really not much to say. Josh Rosen actually got in for some time, it looks like. He went 0 for 2. Didn't know Josh Rosen was still in the league, to be honest with you. But no, let's flip over to old TB12. 24-36, 276, 5 touchdown passes. He was just straight carving this defense up.
It's what he did. He did it last week. He did it last week in the Cowboys game. And Atlanta putting some numbers up against this defense doesn't really shock me. We kind of did watch that last week, even with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a lot better offense, but that Tampa defense is only going to get better. They have a lot of injuries, especially in their secondary right now. Defending the pass is kind of challenging for them. Obviously, we know how good that front seven is, but they're beat up right now in the secondary. They're going to get those guys back. This is still, to me, the favorite to coming out of the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. And look, you have Tom Brady on your team, and where we're at right now, obviously this game that's on right now is not final. No. We'll see what Mahomes does, because Mahomes had a huge week 1 also. Yeah. But going by this game not being done yet, what Brady has done in the first 2 weeks, to me, he has to have the nod at and the MVP. We're only 2 weeks into the season though.
Yeah, and I think I'd go out on a limb and say Gronk's probably leading the league in receiving touchdowns. Yeah. I think he has 4 of them right now, because I think he had 2 week 1.
Yep.
And he had 2 again today. Yep. So did Mike Evans. Godwin caught the other one. So no, this is pretty much status quo, what we kind of expected this Tampa team to do. judging because they brought everybody back from last year, and fuck you. I think you can tell by the end of the season that was a pretty successful season for them, and you can tell. I mean, if any of you guys that have watched us or listened to us for any amount of time know that I try to bury Tom Brady on an annual basis. What does he do? Shit on my face. So
I told you last year you needed to start fucking rooting for him.
No, I've started to watch him and appreciate him.
You have to. You have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
because we talked about it after Kobe passed, and I admitted, I was like, I wasn't a Kobe fan just because he won all the fucking time. Never did take the time to appreciate what he was doing while he was doing it. I've kind of flipped that switch. I appreciate what Tom's doing. Am I a Tom Brady fan? No, but you got to respect what he does inside the lines and outside the lines, because one of the things Pat McAfee talks about is once Tom Brady comes in the building, he makes everyone better. Not just the players, the coaches, the cooks, the people parking cars. Doesn't matter. TB12 walks in, makes everyone instantly better because they don't want to be the one that fucks up.
Yep.
And that's got to be a huge accountability factor right there in and of itself. So, no, you're right. You're right. He is. How many MVPs has he won? 2?
Yeah, I mean I'm not sure.
I guarantee if he wins one,
he just counts Super Bowls. That's all he counts.
Well, he also said too he'd get. How many Super Bowls you actually win when you'd give 2 of them up to have an undefeated season. So Kurt says Cards are missing a good run game since DJ. Yep. If Edmonds could get something going, Murray is unstoppable. Kurt, he looks pretty fucking unstoppable right now to begin with, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and I do. I like the Edmonds, and I actually like the Connor pickup too for them.
I do too.
They can keep him healthy, just to give him, it's nothing that Connor does is exciting, but he's a straight north and south runner. He picks up the hard yards, and then obviously what Edmonds can do in space. But no, the best running back on that team is Kyler Murray.
Oh, 100%.
But that's where it gets. That's the one thing that gets complicated with him is you can't overdo it, because you got to make sure that you can keep him upright and keep him healthy, because he's a little body that he does have a way of being able, it seems like, to kind of spin off of major contact. So you kind of see that. You see it with Lamar Jackson, where you think guys have him right in the crosshairs and are going to just and something he's able to just kind of absorb the contact and not take it like most quarterbacks do.
Right. Right.
But still, somebody as small as him, every time he runs, it's like, oh, come on, don't
just go out of bounds. Just go out of bounds. And then he hits the B button and he's off for 15 more yards. We kind of touch base a little bit on the Cowboys-Chargers game. Just kind of give you some stats from that. Dak, very economical, 23 of 27, 237 yards and a pick. No, did not have a passing touchdown, but they got in the end zone twice on the ground. Pollard went for 13 carries, 109 yards and a touchdown. Zeke had 16 carries, 71 yards and a touchdown. And CeeDee Lamb led the way. He seemed like he was targeted a lot, which, when you got a dude like that, I don't see why you wouldn't target him more if that's possible. But he had 8 carries for 81 yards, or eight catches, excuse me. And yeah, it was.
He's going to be a guy that here in a couple of years is going to be, he's going to be in the conversation of, a first-round draft pick in fantasy leagues.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be putting up numbers like Devontae Adams, like, DeAndre Hopkins, like Julio there for years. He's going to be one of the best in the league. 22 years old, and doing what he's done already in his year and 2 games in the league. The sky's the limit for him.
On the flip side, Herbert went 31 of 41, 338 and a touchdown, but 2 picks. And I think that was between those very odd picks, because Herbert doesn't turn the ball over that much.
Yeah, and they were
penalties.
One of them in the end zone. One of them in the end zone, and he didn't look very sharp today. Obviously, had the volume because he threw the ball a lot, and so he threw for well over 300 yards. But it wasn't a sharp game for him today.
No. Well, yeah, it was definitely not his best game. But I think the picks aside, they had, 2 touchdowns taken off the board for stupid penalties. So then you're not going to win games like that. And to be honest, for them to stay in it this long, I think that was a testament of their. I mean, they were moving the ball pretty well, and they'd get down in the red zone, and it was either, like you said, the pick in the end zone or some very stupid penalties. There was towards the end of the game, Herbert threw the ball away, and they called it a sack, which kind of moved him out of field goal range. Very weird ending to the game. But I think overall, you got to give the kudos and thumbs up to like we talked about with the Cowboys. All right, let's see. This is the last game besides the KC Baltimore game, which is going on right now. It is 9 minutes left to go in the first half. KC's leading 14-7, and another shocker, but not the biggest upset. We've already talked about my biggest upset, but. Tennessee goes out to Seattle, wins in overtime, 33-30. And Tannehill goes 27-40, 347 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. A big story here. Derrick Henry, 35 carries, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns. We saw Julio Jones have his coming out party as a Titan. 6 catches, 128 yards, no touchdowns, but did have a long reception of 51 yards. And Derrick Henry really doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield a lot, but he had 6 catches for 55 yards. So that was a good sign. Good sign if you are a Titans fan. But just flipping the page, Russ 22 of 31, 343 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Had a beautiful long ball to Lockett, which seems like Lockett catches at least 2 of these long balls a game, and I don't think there's anyone in the NFL that throws a prettier long ball than Russell Wilson. But it was all the offense was through the air because they had a team total of 77 rushing yards. Chris Carson had 13 carries, 31 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Lockett led the way with eight receptions, 178 yards, and a touchdown. DK had 6 catches, 53 yards. And Swain had 5 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. So, yeah, Tennessee was one of those teams I think a lot of people overreacted to last week. To have that shit performance last week and then go into probably the hardest place in the NFL to play. Not only because you're going time zone changing, you're switching, especially from Tennessee, you're going over 2 time zones. And that crowd, the 12th man there, I mean, it's loud. It's loud. Tannehill's. I mean, if you have Tannehill in your fantasy league, you're probably not mad. You're probably, even though he didn't throw a touchdown pass, threw for almost 350 yards. But like I said, I really think the story here was they did not give up giving the ball to Henry.
No, like you give the ball to your best player on your team, and you ride it. And 41 touches today. He's the best player on your team, and they rode that. They rode that his hand the whole way through the game, and that's why they won it. They scored the touchdown to win the game, or
to tie it.
To tie it, and then went to overtime, and they were able to win on the field goal. And it's what Derrick Henry can do as far as volume. Not very many guys that I've ever watched that can take 35 carries, and it's not like this guy just does this every once in a while. He does
every
this.
Game.
Yeah.
And can still, dude's like 6'13", 280 pounds, and can
runs a 4.5,
pull away from defensive backs. That's what's crazy to me, because probably the only one I can really think of that's eerily similar would be Adrian Peterson. Either you have a bruising back that isn't very fast but can just plow through whatever, or you've got like the Dalvin Cook type back who is electric and is super fast, but he's not a big dude. Derrick Henry is just a fucking anomaly. I mean, he's the only one like it in the league. Probably the closest dude we have to a true third down back.
Sure.
Because he had 182 yards rushing. Ryan Tannehill was the second leading rusher with 4 carries for 27 yards. So yeah, there really isn't any it's not like a thunder and lightning type, which I hate that comparison, but he's the dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's the dude. He's like I said, running backs like him aren't made anymore, and if they are, they're not utilized. Like Vrabel in that coaching staff over there. But if you're Vrabel, take the ball. If you need to run through all 11 guys on the defense, we can line them up real quick, and you can just knock them down like fucking dominoes, because that's what this dude does. So no, I was impressed, because I'm very high on Tennessee, just because I picked Derrick Henry, but to see what that team, just going from like 3 years ago to where they are now, is just unbelievable. They've totally forgotten about who Marcus Mariota even is, and now they're like, well, we got this Ryan Tannehill guy that Miami threw away. All of a sudden, dude, he's top 10 quarterback in the league. Top 10 quarterback. And then on top of the team that you had last year, you're able to get Julio Jones, top 5 receiver in the league. Add him to this already potent offense and just a fucking beast, and A.J. Brown. Physically, A.J. Brown's right up there with DK Metcalf as just being specimens of human beings. And Julio's not much different. He looks like a human avatar, to be honest with you. So I was very impressed with that's one of those games I really wish I would have had the Sunday ticket so I could have watched that. That would have been phenomenal. Well, 2Ks, let's wrap the show up. Let's talk about let's give the folks some predictions on Monday night's game. Because it's 14-7 right now, KC. And I want to say Kansas City was a 3.5 point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Are you riding the favorite? Or are you taking Baltimore?
Yeah, I know. I think Chiefs get this one easy. Obviously, we watched Lamar Jackson already turn the ball over twice.
Yeah.
What he can do with his feet? We talked about it with Kyler Murray. It's so exciting, but Kyler Murray can make throws, and that Lamar Jackson has not proven that he can make throws in this league consistently. Turns the ball over way too often. I don't think that the Ravens can hang with the Chiefs tonight.
That night, like we pointed out already, the injury bug has bitten them hard. Not only are they on their fourth string running back, their left tackle Ronnie Staley's out. That's huge. When you already have and they had to slide Villanueva, which are showing right now. Villanueva is an established lineman. However, they had him playing on the inside. I want to say he was like the right guard, moved him over, and then brought obviously a replacement in for him. So this whole line's a jumble. And then add on top of that, you're down to your third string running back, and dude you just signed off the street that have only been practicing for a week. That doesn't make me very excited. And for the line to only be 3.5, kind of blows me away. However, Kansas City's known for letting teams hang around, and they really aren't known to cover. But 3.5 is still doable.
Yeah,
I think this is a 10-point game at the end. I'm right there with you. So Lions Packers, brother. Lions Packers. So this is
I think Green Bay covers this.
Well, here's the season leaders right now. Jared Goff has 38 of 57 which that's a fucking lot of passes. But then again, last week they were down by like 78 points. 38 of 57, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. On the flip side, Aaron Rodgers is 15 for 28, 133 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. I think A-Rod goes off for 350. 4 touchdowns. Probably 3 of them to Devontae. And just drops dick all over MCDC and the Lions. And Devontae Adams being held out of the end zone, which obviously he was held out of the end zone because seemed like the only completions Rodgers was getting last week was to the other team. But I think Adams goes off. Rodgers goes off. This game's done by halftime.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. I think with as bad as Green Bay looked last week, they can't do it again. I think they go off. I don't think that this Detroit team is very good. The one positive thing about Detroit is they could have just got their ass kicked last week, and they battled right back into that game and gave themselves a chance.
They were driving to tie.
Yeah.
They were driving, and if Hawkinson can get one more yard, that drive continues, and who knows, they might have, and they've already made two consecutive 2-point conversions to get to that point. Yeah. That's what I wrote the blog about this last week and it was titled "Same Old Lions?" ?
Yeah.
And I said no. I mean, who would have thought Jared Goff would have this success coming from a McVay system where it's predicated off of play action.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to play action when no one believes the running back is actually going to take the ball, or that the offensive line is going to hold up enough for said running back to hit a hole at least. Mm-hmm. And Businessman says the real question: will Aaron Rodgers have more than 9 fantasy points? Brother, I fucking hope so. I mean, hope so.
To me, I think Aaron Rodgers has a big game. I don't know if he goes 350. I would not go away from him getting 4 touchdowns. But they got to get Aaron Jones involved. If they're able to get Aaron Jones involved, because I think he had less than 10 yards, last week, they have to get him involved. And whether that's turning around and handing him the ball or through the air getting him the ball, but you have to get him the ball. And when they are able to do that, and then mix in Dillon, but they have to establish a running game, and then that's going to open up everything for Rodgers, and that's what's going to get Davante Adams, his game. Because I agree with you, Davante Adams he's the best wide receiver in the league right now.
Hands down.
I agree with you. Tomorrow night, I think he scores. I think he gets 1. That would not surprise me one bit if he gets 2. But they have to establish somewhat of a running game if they're going to do anything. I think that they do that tomorrow against this Lions defense. Right now, it's at 11.5. I think Green Bay covers that.
Especially at home.
At home, yeah, absolutely. I'm looking to see a big bounce back out of Green Bay. I think that they're still one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
They were awful last week.
They're still going to win They're still going to win the NFC North. They're still going to make the playoffs.
100% agree.
Yeah. So, and to quote Mr. Rogers, RELAX, relax. Excuse me, man. I've been gassy today. I apologize, 2K crew, but you ready to tie a bow on this motherfucker here, 2Ks?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, guys and gals, big shout out to Businessman PK and Kurt Hanneberg. Thank you guys for dropping some comments. And the show is a lot more fun when we get to interact with you guys and gals. So if you're watching, just feel free. Don't be bashful. We like to get a conversation started because, the second best part of sports is bullshitting about it, talking shit. The first one's actually watching it. So as we're saying this, the Ravens have pulled within 1. It's 14-13 with the that was a cross-dresser with the extra point here to come. So they're probably going to tie it up. But 2K crew, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. For those of you watching on the replay, go ahead and drop us a comment, give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're listening on the podcast, go ahead and give us a follow, give us a like, and if you're feeling saucy, give us go over to buyturbobeer.com, buy 2Ks and I a beer, and you help financially support the show. But with that being said, as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.